Slippy-J Sunday coming at you again. And this week we have another kind of upscale kind of knife here. This is a Trevisa. If you're not familiar with them, mostly they end up making some really interesting budget to decent other kind of, traditional pocket knives. Maybe a little bit smaller than something like this. I don't have any of them sitting right here in front of me, but this is one of two of their slip joints that they've made recently here. And yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So, we supposedly have titanium for the bolster that also ends up being basically the scales there. We have some inlays here. In this particular case, it's desert ironwood. Doesn't quite have an amazing amount of chatoyance due to the way that they've ended up doing the finish on it, but that's all right. It still looks nice and attractive and all that sort of stuff. They also do one in bone that I absolutely did not want because of the screwed construction of it. Um, Tons of companies I've seen end up messing that up. If you have screwed construction, either out of the factory or if you've done something after the fact, it's really, really easy to over torque those screws and just crack the bone. So, for the most part, unless a knife is actually made pinned construction, I don't bother picking up a bone variant. So I went with the desert ironwood. So I said we got titanium for the scales there, which is interesting because the uh, the backspring here, which does have these, it's not file work at all, but definitely looks. I don't know. To me, it kind of looks like some bones or something like that, little dog bone action. Um, they look almost identical. This thing is very, very light. Something that really helps out having titanium be a part of it. However, it feels a little scary too light. I don't think that it's made out of aluminum or something like that, but yeah, it is a little interesting. Here we go. We got the blade there. I don't particularly remember which traditional blade shape that is. But it's certainly one that I suppose helps out a little bit more with like skinning and caping and stuff like that for animals, just keeping that tip out of the way. However, a lot of times on these kind of smaller slip joints, I really do want access to that tip. And it seems to be kind of a difficulty with this particular blade shape. So, not something that I'm incredibly crazy about, but hey, it is what it is. Also, because of the highly polished or highly finished nature of this titanium, rather than have it be all sorts of you know sander bead blasted finish or something like that, then yep, those scratches and everything like that really come through all sorts visibly, which is generally why most manufacturers end up doing some sort of sand slash bead blast on titanium because it is a very lightweight and strong material, but it is not scratch resistant, and that's also why it makes a terrible knife blade. uh, you can, carbonize a little tiny bit of it and use it to rip through some things. But overall, yeah, titanium knives aren't really a good thing. Uh, so, all right, there we go. We got a little bit of a nail nick there. Like I said, I generally don't like to use them, but if they're there to help me get a little bit of extra friction for pulling the blade open, then there we go. Doesn't really bother me at all. What I will say did make me a little bit sad on this is the spring tension on here is really, really weak. I would probably call this like a 3 or a 3.5 on a scale of 10 out of for the the back spring on it, which in general is just way too weak for what I want. It does make that really, really easy to pull out if you do like traditional knives, um, and you're old enough that you want to continue to use traditional knives, and you don't have a problem with something being made in China. Then and you might have some arthritis or something like that. Yeah, of course, a whole bunch of caveats. Then this thing might end up working out super super great for you. But still, I would much prefer a much heavier back spring on here. So, blade steel. Let's talk about that. Is it printed on the blade? It actually is not. Okay. It is M390, and you can tell that between the price on these guys, which are about 120 bucks or so. Um, but it's also listed on their website. They also kind of list that it's between 60 and 62 HRC, which I think might be a little ambitious from what I've felt from doing just a little bit of reprofiling and sharpening on it. I don't think it's incredibly soft, but up to 62, I really don't think that's quite the case. I think it's probably 59 to 60, maybe 58 to 59 or something like that, which is fairly common industry wide. Don't get me wrong, it's not like it was done improperly. But yeah, 62 I think is just really, really ambitious. But yeah, it's an interesting piece. The kind of, I'm gonna say filigree, but that is definitely not the right word. But the appointments done towards the back end of the bolster there are actually quite sharp. Not like I'm gonna cut myself, but you can see it's grabbed and held on to some of my calloused thumb skin there. So it does offer quite a bit of extra grip or something like that, which is great for a pinch grip. It actually works out amazingly well. But you might find it maybe a little over sharp for what you might want for something just randomly tossing around your pocket. This thing does, and I don't have it around here with me, but it does come with a little pocket sheath sort of thing, or a belt sheath that yeah, you can toss it on your belt and put it in there. But it does seem like it was made for this, and there's also another one that's not the Gemini that's a slip joint that I haven't picked up, and one or two others, but this knife seems to be way too slender for it, so it does rattle around in there a little bit. So I haven't really carried it around that way. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty interesting knife. Like I said, my complaints on it are probably that the back spring is quite a bit weaker than what I would like, and I would also like a little bit better access to the tip there. But like I said, I don't remember the exact pattern name for that particular blade, but yeah, it does make some EDC tasks just a little bit more difficult than they might otherwise be. Also, if I remember right, this is just over 3 inches for the blade, which might restrict that. I think they say on their side is 3.07. Yeah, I have that basically measured at 2.94 inches, which means they're probably one of the companies that end up measuring from the pivot point. Some companies do that, which is a little weird to me, but yeah, I suppose it is what it is. But yeah, from my measurements, it does say it's under 3 inches. However, their official measurements on their site say it's 3.07 inches. And if you are in some sort of, I don't know, legal problems or something like that because of carrying that knife, they're of course going to use those official measurements over something that someone could easily do with calipers or a ruler. So that would be still considered over 3 inches, which can be a problem in some places. Some places here in the States have restrictions on 3 inches or 2.5 inches and under and stuff like that. And of course, a lot of places in Europe. But yeah, it's still, it is what it is. Interesting knife. It is spookily light. Like, I can't really get over that. And it's interesting. Let's see, where the heck we are? Because we also have like this guy here, which is titanium. It does have carbon fiber instead of desert ironwood there. But you can see it's a bit thicker up here at the bolster, and it does go all the way through. And yet this knife is substantially heavier. Yeah, let's see if I can't just do a little bit of a comparison there. Yeah, this is easily under 2 ounces or 56 grams compared to 2.7 ounces. And we have maybe just a touch thicker blade stock on here. So what could possibly be the case is that this is using a little bit different titanium alloy. I honestly don't remember exactly the one that Viper uses. Since it's not from China, I want to say it's probably 6ALV4. But, it's, for all intents and purposes, the same as TC4 that a lot of Chinese manufacturers like Tucson and, well, this Alvin and a whole bunch of others use. And I think this might be a different alloy than that, one that is even lighter, but maybe because of that, maybe a little bit structurally less sound. Because it just feels a little too light for what I actually see there, and it does feel just maybe a little bit more brittle or fragile than something like this guy. But still, I mean, if you're using a standard slip joint, especially one with a spring with this easy tension on it, you're not going to be pushing it super hard anyway. So, I don't really think that this knife is going to fail on you. It just doesn't quite feel as sturdy as maybe some others do. So, all right. Well, there's that. How about if I do a couple of blade size comparisons? We can get out of here. So, there we go. There's the Range Buster Junior, which is very, very standard blade size and all that. There's the Real Steel Luna. And, of course, my Cold Steel Lucky one here. So, yeah, pretty interesting knife. I'm a little sad by having the tip of that knife kind of be out of reach for a lot of tasks. But, for some tasks, especially like caping with an animal or something like that, you really do want to keep that tip way out of the way. So that definitely works out for that. And it might also work a little bit for some whittling tasks for wood and stuff like that. But, yeah, I don't know. I lost my train of thought on that particularly. I'm not a huge wood whittler myself, so I probably would just end up embarrassing myself by saying my assumptions. So I'll just go ahead and refrain from doing that and let people who actually know all of that stuff chime in if they have any opinions on that. But there we go. There's the Trevisa Gemini in Desert Ironwood. Like I said, they also have a standard bone, just white bone one if you wanted something that looks just a little bit more traditional, but I'm always worried with modern traditionals with screw together construction with that, which is why I didn't go that way. But alrighty, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.